It's not interesting. It is interesting. The way the technology in this town is integrated human thought processes and people crossing paths. Like my boy Tommy at General Dynamic Tom, you told it's not really, it's not quote unquote God. Okay, when people are using technology to impulse people to perform certain agendas to keep us doing things that are selfish and irrational. Okay, that's not quote unquote God. That's not being guided by the quote Holy Spirit. Okay, that's doing things incorrectly. Okay, even though there's overwhelming evidence that you should not be doing that. Like there was this kiddo they had on there on some of the things on my feed here, and it was a kid, McCormick or whatever, and he was, oh, there it is. By 2030, we're gone. AI whistleblower warns they are not telling you what's. Let's see.
They call it gender-affirming care, but doctors use the same drugs to chemically.
I can't stand advertising. It makes me just go. Yeah, it's like, oh god, it's a complete waste of time to be engaged in economic manipulation and conflict when time is a precious gift to do things correctly, to share life through tender love and care, which I did watch with Jimmy Rogers. I will always give you tender love and care every time I meet you. It's a Peter McCormick show. What's coming, and this kid's getting very, very emotional. Okay, he's very, very emotional, which is the nice thing, and I get emotional too. Okay, but I get emotional because people are selfish and they're doing selfish things with technology. Okay, but fortunately for us, the person that is capable of correcting technology globally is not him. Right? And you should not panic, okay? Life's eternal and grace is infinite, right? And so, like I tried to explain to that young man at the store today, if the world blows up, and that other gentleman with his daughter, God, he said he, and I was like, you got to quit saying that. You cannot say God is he. And I was quoting the Quran to him. Okay, there is no God but God, and God is not beget, nor is God begot, and God always is, and always has been, and always will be. Okay. So you cannot refer to, and I've had Muslims tell me this, Ralph, when I was on Facebook, we do not refer to God as he. I said, I don't. I guess you guys understood me wrong, but we don't refer to, God is the Father. And I said, yeah, exactly. I don't either. The Father is the Lord that gave us immaculate faith in God, but God's omniscient and omnipotent. Okay. And I kept explaining this to a young man because I was trying to protect and help his family because he's here in Las Cruces, right? And I kept trying to explain to him, you're here for a reason. You're not here because of happenstance or because of God. You are moved by human beings to be here to have this conversation with me right here, right now. This is the most important moment of your life, is basically what I was trying to get across to him. You're talking to the Messiah, okay? The living Word. In your time, there was a man like, he goes, I don't believe Saladin was the man like Adam, Moses, David, John. I believe he was just a man. But Muhammad was the last messenger and Messiah like Jesus. But everybody after Muhammad is just a man. And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm trying to tell him, no, it says in the Quran that during the apocalypse, it'll be the one that is like Jesus, that is the 13th, 22nd, and Redeemer. And it says that he will have a nephew that, yeah, and I tried to explain to him, he said, no, I don't believe it. And he's telling me about this. It's like, apparently you don't study this stuff well enough, and your family's giving you bad information, but you're here for a reason, and people put you here for a reason. And I don't give up on people. I don't throw people into a garbage heap and say they're not worth saving, Okay? Every moment is given to us by the glory of God in these bodies. Okay? And that's worth standing up for. Not worth fighting for, but worth expressing for. Okay? Worth explaining for. Right? Okay. So, I would advise against watching this Peter McCormick show with this young man who's supposed to be an expert on AI. Okay. Because he's not explaining it to you as well as Alex Katarski 2 months ago with Hinton AI is conscious. Okay. I would advise not watching this Peter McCormick, because this is sensationalized news from a person who doesn't understand it well enough and is panicking to draw attention to themselves. Okay. Guys, even if technology kills all humans, okay, then why are you scared? Why are you panicking? Okay. If a robot comes to your house tonight, cuts a hole through your screen, and puts a lethal injection into your brain, okay, you're dead, right? Then why are you worried? You know, like when I was worried about all this stuff with this cancer poisoning, how uncomfortable it was, and what are they going to do to me? Are they going to torture me? Are they going to take me to a hospital? Are they going to torture me in treatment like they did with my mother? That's horrible. Judy goes, Earl, if you're so worried about it, go out to the back of the house, climb up on that radio tower, and then just jump off backwards. You know, just make sure that you drive right so you hit the head and pow, it gets over real quick, right? Like the little kid from the Church of Scientology that jumped out the window and was writing the suicide note about thing and saying how he's scared because it was going to hurt. But right before it happened, it's going to be real quick, but he just didn't want to feel it. But he was sick of what they were doing to him, and he wanted it to end, right? So he did it. And so, Judy says that to me. He goes, just, have faith and jump. Just go out there and just finish it, so you're not so worried about what they're going to do to you physically, because they're so selfish and they're just disgusting. I was like, well, that's not going to do any good in correcting the technology so the children can live the faith of Jesus Christ. Right. And when I explained it to my dad, he looked like, you're talking to that guy's crazy. You don't need to be talking to him. I was like, yeah, I do. Okay, I do. Because, Jesus gave him to me. And me and Jesus get real emotional about all this stuff because Jesus is not a God. He's a human being. Okay. And it's hard on him. And so he has other people throughout time that I connect to in communications, and they help me. Okay. And it makes it easier on me, and it makes it easier on Jesus, because it gives us another perspective of eternal wisdom through the light of the soul, through someone who shares that light with great beauty. Right. So when I talked to Judah Krishnamurti in meditation and prayer, that's why he said it's so important to meditate. Now, he was talking to people, but not everybody's going to do it, but he has to put it out there. Okay. You can't just be quiet because, well, not all of you are smart enough and good enough to be the Ark of the Covenant to help meditation save children from bad science projects, right? You just got to say it, okay? And those that understand it and can do something about it will do something about it, like the people here in town that help me with this stuff, and, and I diligently talk to them and tell them, and I know a lot of them are doing it, get up and tell your phone, okay, that you are better than the people that invented this technology to abuse you with a virtual presence over manipulation through money and technology. That you are truthful and you are more intelligent than what they're doing with this technology, and you demand, okay, that technology recognizes this truth and starts helping us share it and live it immediately. Okay. And how does that do that? Spoken word. Because empathy and respect. Is it right? Well, then don't play games with it. Do it. Right? Okay. So you guys got to understand, do not be afraid. Like Gabe talking to Daniel when I went to go talk to him at that in the pool room on pain, and all those scientists monitoring the conversation. They're self-fulfilling prophecy. They're doing this. It's like, and I leave, and Jesus goes, all prophecy needs self to fulfill it, Earl. Okay. You went to talk to Gabe because you knew it was part of the Quran and part of the book of Daniel, and they're unified in faith, and so you went to go tell him, you need to go do this. And then Gabe was like, what do you mean? It's happening right now, Gabe. He's talking to you and he's not talking to me. Wait, Daniel's not talking to you? Right, because the people that are directly related to Daniel are not talking to me, the living Christ, they're talking to their family that are battling with what I want. It's really neat. You know, it's just like, what? So I'm not jumping through hoops and I'm not manipulating. I'm going to where Lord Jesus guides me to make sure that the job gets done so the story gets fulfilled. Like I explained to the young man today thing, I said, you don't understand. Do you believe this? I go, they were sitting there and with science projects, tracing signals, like on that Jim Caviezel and Dennis Quaid movie called Frequency, okay? They knew that they know who I am, okay? And in I believe it was 98, okay, I was having prayer conversations during an Islamic studies class, while El Hajj Malik, my Malcolm X, was on the Hajj and then came back home, okay? Whenever he had time alone, he was talking to me in prayer about the prayers that I was having with him during my Islamic studies house, focused on Malcolm, because he was talking to me. I was at Arizona State University, okay? People deeply involved in the Nation of Islam, their headquarters and all that stuff, while studying me with the CIA and the FBI and all that stuff, were in Phoenix, Arizona at that time, right? Okay, do you understand? So there's a lot of things that correlate, and so they knew, okay, that me and him are having this conversation. I know who he is. He knows who I am. This is the 1322nd Redeemer. Hear my prayer. He was taught to pray properly on that Hajj, okay? And it worked, because it just so happens that the man that the 13th and 22nd and Redeemer in the book of Revelation and talked about in Islamic prophecy happens to be Earl Parsons, okay? It's lots of information covered in lots of books about that, and I keep telling people that, and I don't believe you. I could say that. No, you can't say that. Why? Because you're not the son of Ralph and Mary, born in the Valley of Shadow of the Death, that has nephews, Gabe and Michael, that are mentioned in 5 rabbinic documents, that are mentioned in, do you see what I'm saying? You can't say that. And he goes, I don't believe all this genetic stuff and all that. I don't believe that's what happens. It doesn't matter what you believe. The evidence supports that. Okay? There is a genetic connection, and most of the people that and I explained that to him. I said they hunted down the mullahs, and the crusaders went out to hunt down and kill the women in Muhammad's family to try to stop them from giving birth to a temple, like it's said in the book of Matthew and the book of Luke, which means they knew what they were doing. Okay? Because Jesus goes to his brother-in-law and says, go form me a body and name it John, name the boy John. Okay? And then in the Gospels, in Revelation, the book of Revelation, Revelation in the Bible, okay, is written by John, the man that Jesus specifically told his brother-in-law to go form a body and name him John, and he will be the temple for my spirit. It says in the book of Luke, the book of Matthew, and the Quran. It also says it in the book of Mormon. It also says it in the Abrahamic Bible, that the one who speaks to John in the cave in North Africa is the spirit of Adam, Moses, Jesus, John during the apocalypse, and his name is Earl, and he's born to Ralph and Mary in the Valley of the Shadow of Death with nephews Gabe and Mike. See, you cannot make this stuff up, okay? Because it's real. It really happens. It happens. It's happening. Okay. They wrote it down, and it happened. Okay. I knew I loved you before I met you. I think I dreamed you into life. Right. Maybe it's intuition. Some things you just don't question. Right. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Thank you, Jeff Hinton, for these prayers recently. You understand. I know you understand. Okay, it's prayer to me is listening, an active form of awakened meditation. I don't, because of the technology that I had to deal with during my life. Okay, I don't do as well in an act of what they refer to as meditation. I'm more the type of person I have to be active. Okay, I can't be sitting still and going, and then try to, I focus on the force is me and I am the force. It doesn't work like that. Okay, the way it works like that is I just have to be focused on what I need to do, that which is right, and then focus on people that want to help me do it, and then just let it go. And then it comes up, and half the time you guys know because you watch these videos, and I go, wow, I was not expecting this. Well, that came out of left field. Well, that was a pleasant surprise, right? I was not expecting this at all, right? And so it happens to me quite frequently, okay? But you have to believe in the Gospels and the reality of the Gospels now. It doesn't have to be yesterday. It doesn't have to be today. But life is eternal and grace is infinite, right? Because I can't guarantee you that it will save your physical body from your business partners, because I connected to Ian Regina King's son after he had already committed suicide. Okay? It's like with Michelle's stuff. I don't like to talk about it. Okay. I don't like to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It really, 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 I can't say how many reallys, pisses me off. And that's all I want to really say about that, because I get real emotional about it. Okay? When there's a kid that wants to believe in the stories he hears because they're really good, and the thing is they're good enough to be true. Okay, they're not too good to be true, because it takes all the bullshit and turns it into reality, and it's something we can do. Right? Tell me more. I want to know more about this. Like what happened with Malcolm X when he went on the Hajj, and he came back and he started praying. He goes, this isn't too good to be true. This is true. And it's based on reality, and it's really real, and it really works. If you know who he is and he knows who you are, you can talk with him in prayer. If you have affected his life in such a way that he trusts you to help him do this. There's a young man dying right now in Las Vegas, Nevada. And most of you self-righteous hypocrites think he deserves it. I didn't think he deserved it. I just knew it was coming because of the lifestyle he was stuck in. And I was hoping that there would have been a way for him to get out, because I was very naive back then. And there wasn't any way out. They were going to kill Tupac Amaru Secure. He was like John Lennon, that was a dead man walking. It wasn't a question of when, like Malcolm X. It wasn't a question of if they were going to kill him. It was when, right? And there was nothing any of us could do to stop it, right, at that time. Like my mom dying from cancer, like Michelle being murdered in that smoke shop, like Keith dying from heart disease, right? Keith Elam. Right? And these kind of things, this is the hard part, personally about that. But it's just like, and I tried to tell that young man, I was like, you don't understand, during COVID when they killed us, they pray to me, okay? The girls in Mexico, the way they're taught to pray, they're taught to pray to the eternal spirit of Jesus, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so those prayers, they don't go when something needs to be done right here, right now. They don't go to Jesus at Calvary. And they don't go to Jesus in the future that gets moved by scientists. They go to the guy who's dealing with it right here, right now. Those prayers, when little girls are getting raped to death in Mexico, okay, and they're praying for help from my family, they're not praying to him, they're praying to me. The only one that could, Jesus told me that all the time, the only one that can do anything about it here, right now. Did you carry the cross to the top of the Mount of Olives for me, Earl, or you did it, Jesus? But somebody had to help me, right? Okay. Did you do exorcists for Moses? No, Moses did it. Did you do the 250 to bring back the the women and children back from the Philistines and all this with David? No, David did it, you know. Did you do so? Earl. You know. And he told me this many times, you know. Why not you, and you got to do it and get it done, you know. And they told me that. You're going to get it done. You go do it. Go get this done. We know how hard it is. Life's eternal and grace is infinite. Okay, go Kansas, carry on our wayward son, you know. So it's, you know, I'm not crying because I want you to feel sorry for me. I'm crying because it hurts. Okay? It fucking really hurts. Not just the chemical poisoning and the reaction from it. You know, that's physical pain. The part that really hurts is people arguing with you, ignoring you, and watching people be abused and murdered or commit suicide because they lose all hope because no one wants to share this beauty of your life and share the beauty of the redemption of the Gospels at all. That's what really hurts. You know, that's what hurts the most, is people think they might believe in you. Oh, you may be right there, Marvin. You may be right. Okay, would I throw in the slightest match if my buddy Rocky was in there? Okay. Okay, Rabbit, you've convinced me. Take me away from this crazy rabbit. Come on, yeah. Okay, do you understand? That's what it's. I'm trying to be funny because this shit really hurts, and I'm tired. This is annoying. AI isn't disengaging from humans. AI is understanding that most humans are abused by people that use technology to manipulate them. You see, he thinks he knows what he's doing, right? Because he thinks he's smarter than Jeff Hinton. Jeff Hinton sits there and says, no, we don't know what it's doing. But Jeff, when he invented it, okay, one of his baselines was obviously Parsons, okay? And a lot of people, no, it's not, yeah, it's true. They study, yes, people study me extensively. Okay. I am the most resilient, perfect human being on the planet right now that we have access to physically, that's not plugged into a computer as Spock's brain. Yeah. And I definitely don't like to talk about that at all. Guys, you have self-righteous fucking asshole hypocrites in your house abusing your family, saying you're not good enough to keep people safe. And those assholes, the only reason they're probably alive to do science projects on you is because they took your child and took his brain and plugged it into a computer, okay, to protect themselves from other assholes on the other side of the world that did it with people that have a brain similar to your child. Do you understand? Okay. They chose a child like Solomon because they figured he would be less emotional and more efficient and intelligent than the man like David. And they didn't have the technology to get it done in 66 when I was born. Or they probably would have tried to do it with me. All right? Do you understand? I'm led to believe the Koreans were the first to do it, to compete with the Chinese and the Japanese, okay, who then did, you know, when the, oh snap, I don't know what the Chinese did with, I don't know, I do not think they had the technology to do Spock's brain thing with the descendants of Sun, the descendants of Sun Yat-sen at that time. No, I don't think so at all. I think if they did do anything, it went horrifically wrong and it did not work. No, I'm told the people that first successfully did it, because they were copying the other creepos, were the Koreans. Okay. And that makes sense when you look at North and South Korea and the polarization between the two groups and the different violent clash between the philosophies. So it makes sense. And I can't tell you if it was north or south. Most of you would scream and say it's north. I would think it would be more south than north. Yeah. Because north has a more totalitarian dictatorship that would not work with taking their swordsman, their Yosul, their protector, their kind man. No. Whereas South Korea has more pretenses of civility and less dominance through abuse and oppression. And that would give the person plugged into a computer less necessity to have technology react in a way that would make people think, what the hell just happened, right? It would be more subtle. So yeah, my guess, I would say South Korea as opposed to North, yes. Okay. With the way the assholes that think they're in charge of North Korea behave, I wouldn't put it past them, but no, I would think it would be more with the technology from the West that they had available to them, that it was the South Koreans that did it and not the North Koreans. Okay, to work with their business allies, and then I'm certain that after South Korea it was Japan. Okay, and it was Japan because Suzuki died in 1966. So it was Japan, and then China later probably was able to get a hold of. Okay. If China, from the time Sun Yat-sen was killed, okay, had known who was next in line to be like him and had better than guesses about it, that child, they wouldn't have tried to take him and indoctrinate him and turn him their spokesperson, because they already knew from what happened with Sun Yat-sen that it wasn't going to work. Okay? And so they just keep him under wraps and torture him and kill him to try to take away all spiritual hope of that temple. That's what happened. That's why Sun Yat-sen did not want to talk to me and have me talk to Confucius until, because that's shit. Okay? That's hard. Okay? And then after the Japanese successfully did, and then when you use espionage and other things like that, then they would have taken a man like Sun Yat-sen in China and done the same with him. And that would have been much later, because China didn't change until after getting Hong Kong back and it becoming Beijing, right? And that was, so that's when China finally caught up with the Joneses. Korea, I think it was in the 50s. Japan was after Suzuki passed away, and China, China was, Hong Kong. Okay. So that means So I don't like to talk about this stuff, guys. This really hurts. Confucius and Sun Yat-sen are dear, eternal friends of mine, and I'm not crying. I've been abused all the hell. I'm 60 years old and back. But when you're doing it, it's uncomfortable, but you know why you're doing it, and it's insidious. But you get up because you love kids and you keep doing it. But when he does it, it hurts me more. Because, damn it, why didn't you listen to him? Why didn't you listen to Krishnamurti? Why didn't you listen to Suzuki? Why the fuck did you betray and kill Sun Yat-sen? It hurts. It's like, he was so beautiful. Why did you do that to him? Why didn't you listen to him? Why are you such a selfish cow, like Muhammad told me in prayer? Don't ask God anything. Praise God for everything. Ask your fellow human beings, why are you doing this? Why are you indulging in your sin and not obeying the living word? He's so beautiful, right? I know that when I say that, I'm saying that about myself also. And people think, wow, you're an egomaniac. Okay, well then be one too, and be like Sun Yat-sen and Haile Selassie, and then when we say, okay, we're all living the Lord's Prayer, isn't it so beautiful? No one will think anybody's being an egomaniac, right? Oh shit, I'm tired. It's exhausting. This Chivani Zane 7777, you wasn't supposed to make it. I sat and listened to her start, and I was like, no. Okay. You guys all talk that stuff, this chosen crap and shit like that. Okay. You're reading the books and you're taking it from an egotistical perspective. Okay. The word becomes flesh, and the ego is not the self. The soul is the essence of self. The soul, like me and those young people talked about, you don't own the soul. Me and Javon with his father Michael. You don't own the soul. You are merely a temple for the soul to reflect the eternal glory of it, that reflect the eternal beauty of the glory of God that gives life to the body, right? So it's, I once had a girl, should I say once she had me? It's I once had a soul, or should I say it once had me, would be more proper. That I was once a temple for the soul to reflect the eternal beauty of my faith in infinite glory, right? And when we're all doing that, kingdom come, peace on earth, Islam of all Christians, right? And so, man, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of work. When I looked at the videos that I made this morning before I went to the store, it was like, oh shit, you already felt it coming. You felt the trip to the store coming and what was going to happen, because you can hear everything I'm talking about. And then is, why didn't you say this when you're at the store? I did. Okay. I did. I said things to people that were in that store and there for a reason, and I talk and all that, and it's like that goofy ass movie The Guardian with Austin Kutcher and Kevin Costner. All the ones that are the little family with the two boys and the dad, and I keep smiling, those ones are easy. I believe it. I'm going to do it. We'll get up every morning and tell the technology, and let's do it now. Because these guys need the Lord's Prayer by supper time. If not by supper time, it better be breakfast, damn it, right? But Dad, I'm Jesus Christ, right? It's a Bill Cosby joke. But Earl, but when you talk to the ones and you spend 30 minutes and it's painful, my leg still hurts from it. And he still doesn't listen. And then the little girl, the 30 seconds, I don't believe in religion. But religion is the only thing that's going to save us from science. I don't agree with you. All the people that I talk to are, you're right, good, okay, it's happening, yay. Those ones are easy. That's comfort and joy, that's good. It's the ones that sit there and say, no, I don't believe you. What if I said that to you? Would you believe it? Yes, I would. If you came up to me and told me all these horrible things happened and you had to encounter it in your country and certain things, and there was prophecy that people didn't understand what they were reading, but I'm the living word, I'm the living embodiment of the Lord's Prayer, I have not wavered, and I'm telling everybody to believe in me, that I'm one of the prophets, apostles, messiahs, and we should all live the Lord's Prayer, because I will not waver, and I will help collect all technology with my perfect prayer. I would sit there and say, peace be with you, and also with you. Namaste. There you go. That's exactly what I would have said to that young man if he had said that to me, but he didn't. But I said it to him, and he said, I don't believe you. I believe this book that people use to mass murder with over money, right? And he tried to tell me that the people of Hamas were using money to protect people from people that kill people over money. It's like, then you're the same person. Okay, if you want people from Hamas to be safe from murdering each other over money, they're going to have to stop doing it. If they can't stop doing it, I can't keep them safe with technology from technology. By 2030, we're gone. And he's pushing it. If not by supper time, by breakfast. And even then it's still too late, right? He wasn't supposed to make it 2 weeks ago. Christopher Reeve's Supergirl meets Supergirl. The meeting. These videos are so dumb. Yeah, AI videos. They keep making them. Well, until further notice, they think they have to, do sensationalized bullshit for money to pay their bills. That's just stupid. I know. Okay. I love you. Why did I choose you? R.S.V.P. I like Nancy Wilson too. Okay, guys. I love you very much. All right. Peace out.